National Economic Council delays decision on police state, citing need for further deliberations.
Virtually most of the states are in agreement with the establishment of state police in Nigeria.
President Tinubu to unveil 2025 budget proposal at joint session of the National Assembly next Tuesday.
His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, has indicated his intention to bring the 2025 budget proposals and estimates.
INEC proposes sweeping reforms in landmark 2023 election review report.
And the use of the permanent voters card as the sole means of identification of voters for accreditation on election day should be reviewed.
Good evening and welcome to the nation's capital, Abuja. We are coming to you live from the heart of the city, where the lights and sounds of Abuja are on full display. These are sweeping night scenes from the bustling Wuse axis of the FCT. If anything, Abuja is indeed a city always on the move, even on a night like this. Welcome to NTA Network News. I am Jummai Yusuf. Benny Adams is here with business news, and Bade Adele will be bringing us the latest from the world of sports. Remember, you can watch this news broadcast live on all our social media platforms displayed on your screen. Now, the clamor for state police in Nigeria appear to be gaining more traction, with majority of the state governments expressing support for the establishment. Now, this is a major outcome of the National Economic Council NEC meeting for this Thursday at the State House. State House correspondent Musbau Wahab tells us more.
State governors and other members met apparently for the last time in the year on the platform of the National Economic Council, NEC. Vice President Kashim Shettima chaired the 147th meeting of the council as they picked up from where they left off previously, with the recently sworn-in governor of Edo State, Monday Okpeholo, coming as a new addition to their family. And again, the subnational leaders continued their pursuit of individual police outfits in their respective states. With reservation in some quarters, albeit it has been a protracted issue on the table, but now gaining more momentum for takeoff as 35 states have now made their positions known to the Council on the establishment of a state police.
Virtually most of the states are in agreement with the establishment of state police in Nigeria. But today the Council have decided to step down the discussion until the next Council meeting, because we need to come up with a report from the Secretariat. And after the report, there will be deliberation in the next NEC meeting.
Minister of Arts, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy was a special guest for a presentation to the Council. The Federal Ministry is seeking collaboration with the subnationals in identifying and developing historic sites with the potentials of becoming creative villages in their respective states.
To be known, like I said, as Renewed Hope Creative Villages. And they were able to put forward justification for this initiative. I mean, not only do they believe it will create jobs, it will also enhance, the revenue of the various locations, and by extension, revenue generation for government. It will bluster, tourism potentials, a lot of tourist attractions, and it will also be able to put forward our very rich cultural immersions.
The ad hoc committee on flood and other nature-induced disasters, chaired by Kogi State Governor Usman Ododo, submitted its report to the Council.
And noted the implementation of some of the recommendations made by the committee, especially the provision of financial support to states and disbursement of funds to the line ministries and the agencies of government to address flood issues in the various states.
The report elaborately noted.
There were other presentations to the Council, including that seeking repeal and replacement of the existing Act of Parliament establishing the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Allocation Commission. From the State House, Musbal Wahab, NTA News.
In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu will on Tuesday next week lay the 2025 budget proposal before a joint session of the National Assembly. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, announced this during the Senate plenary today. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, has indicated his intention to bring the 2025 budget proposals and estimates to a joint sitting of the National Assembly on 17th day of December 2024.
Following the announcement, the Senate resolved to adjourn sitting time to 10:30 in the morning and thereafter proceed to the Green Chamber for the joint sitting. Senate has, in the meantime, urged the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory to suspend demolition exercises except those ordered by courts of competent jurisdiction following a motion from Senator Ireti Kingibe.
Demolition, according to the FCT authority, was informed by illegal structures and non-development of allocated plots of land by the FCT administration.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory to suspend forthwith further demolitions of structures except those ordered by the courts of competent jurisdictions until the ad hoc committee constituted by the Senate to ascertain the propriety or otherwise of the exercise concludes its investigation and interferes with the FCT administration.
Senators also passed a resolution to issue a warrant of arrest on the managing director of the construction company, Julius Berger, for alleged failure to appear before the Works Committee to explain non-completion of the Itu-Udupani Highway.
Even some of our ministers are not answerable to the committees, and enough is enough. We should query these ministers and ask Mr. President to drop them.
Julius Berger, they bidded for a job, they were awarded a job, they were paid taxpayers' money, they showed up on site briefly, and they left the site.
Julius Berger Nigerian PLC has neglected and refused to honor invitations to provide details of their role in the Odupani Itu Highway project.
The reason for the decay in our infrastructure in this country is because of the recalcitrant attitude of our contractors.
A bill to establish Federal College of Education Igbekebo in Ondo State, sponsored by Senator Jimo Ibrahim, and another seeking to strengthen career and technical training for Nigerian students, sponsored by Senator Sani Musa, have passed second reading.
We are short of teachers, and there is need to have specialized schools that train teachers, and the people of Igbekebo in Ondo South Central District need this even yesterday.
The Ministry of Education, in collaboration with the Ministry of Labor, will design training programs targeting high-growth industries, such as ICT, renewable energy, manufacturing, healthcare, and agribusiness.
The Federal Orthopedic Hospitals Act Amendment Bill also passed second reading from the National Assembly. Lami Ali, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has mandated its Committee on Environment to launch an investigation into what it calls unprofessional and indiscriminate disposal of crude oil and other petroleum products recovered from illegal refineries, particularly in the Niger Delta region. This followed the adoption of a motion on notice by lawmakers at its plenary today. National Assembly correspondent Mitere Ikpen tells us more.
The motion, sponsored by Representative Marie Ebikake, highlights the alarming economic losses arising from crude oil theft, but regrets further pollution of the environment when stolen crude recovered by joint military operations are burnt.
The combined effects are directly contributing to the rising levels of toxicity of the Niger Delta environment. They have results. To urge the federal government through the Ministry of Environment to hold environmental hostile practice for an eco-friendly and professional method of disposing crude oil and allied materials seized in the course of security operations.
The House also sought investigation into an alleged mismanagement of 350 billion naira loan for accelerating nutrition results in Nigeria, a World Bank-funded project meant to address malnutrition in vulnerable communities across 12 states.
To mandate the Committee on Nutrition and Food Security, the Committee on Finance, the Committee on AIDS, Loan and Debt Management to investigate the Aryan World Bank loan to ensure that special programs of nutrition values are not abused or mismanaged.
Delegates of the Global Tuberculosis Caucus, an international advocacy group of parliamentarians, were in plenary to canvass stronger measures by government to put an end to the scourge of tuberculosis. Lawmakers sought humanitarian assistance for several government institutions ravaged by flood disaster in Borno State this year, including the Nigerian Arabic language village.
Federal Ministry of Education, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Finance approve immediate release of funds from the service-wide vote to the Nigerian Arabic village for the procurement of all potential and essential items required for the resumption of its operations and academic activities.
15 bills were passed at Thursday's plenary, including a bill for an act to regulate corporate social responsibility in Nigeria and a bill for an act to amend the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation Act 2023 to bring it in line with current realities. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikmen, NTA News.
The Nigeria Governors Forum is advancing proposals for strengthening leadership at the sub-national level while enhancing collaboration with the center. This is to build a vibrant process that will accelerate democratic dividends, particularly at the grassroots. Correspondent Abubakar Akwanga reports.
This is the umbrella body of the nation's 36 state governors, and the last Wednesday night meeting is one among a series of others on a national interest. This perhaps is not far-fetched from the current burning issues around the nation's economy, with the tax reform bills before the National Assembly as top-notch. The governors each walked in, and the Secretariat went into a closed-door session with other top economic managers of the country in attendance. After several hours in a closed door, the outcome of the meeting was kept known only to members, as journalists were not fed with any information. But credible feelers did not distance the forum's meetings and that of other national organs to the controversies surrounding the tax reform bills and other burning issues in the country. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
Now let's bring you up to speed with other news, as the 48th National Council on Information and National Orientation has commenced in Kaduna, with participants adopting the draft report on the National Information Policy document. Saliu Abdullahi Gwanara reports.
After about 6 years on hold, this marks the return of the annual intellectual exercise, which often produces a working guide to the Ministry of Information and National Orientation. After vigorous scrutiny by various committees, this 41-page draft National Information Policy 2024 is expected to provide a flexible framework within which modern information systems and strategies can be deployed for national development in line with global best practices and the policies of the Renewed Hope Agenda.
A government cannot be truly inclusive if its policies and programs are not effectively communicated or widely understood by the citizenry. Our task, therefore, is to harmonize efforts across all tiers of government, leveraging on our collective expertise.
Whatever communication comes out of this will be shared with Kaduna State Government as a template to improve on our information management.
We were happy that the President Minister of Information and National Orientation has attached so much value to the meeting, and we are here today in Kaduna to look at the policy direction of information sector in the country, vis-a-vis the development in the country, technology-wise, and also the right of Nigerians to free information, access to information, and of course, free and seamless flow of dissemination of information from government to the governed, and vis-a-vis from the people to the government too.
We have a clear mandate, which is to key in to the 5-point agenda of the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, and above all, of the Renewed Hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The Renewed Hope agenda has come up with a lot of very, wonderful policies that will actually see, the country through. So with information, what we decimate, what we say out, how we'll be able to tell the world where Nigeria is in all sectors, it's a plus for us.
The National Information Policy seeks to provide a framework to guide the regulation and functioning of all public communication systems in the country and provide solutions to the challenges and opportunities in a society driven by evolving technology. In Kaduna, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
You're watching NTA Network News. More reports when we return.
It's the iron and fiber. Milo and Snacks, snack of future champions.
Yeah, welcome back. Leaders at the National Council on Youth Development meeting in Maiduguri have expressed the need for stakeholders to work towards achieving a productive and visible outcome that will empower the Nigerian youth. The 7th National Council on Youth Development held in Maiduguri, tagged Borno 2024, has attracted stakeholders and partners from all parts of the country. Mohammed Goni reports.
The 7th National Council on Youth Development, with the theme Transforming and Repositioning the Nigerian Youth to Thrive and Catalyze Economic Development, was held in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. Already, the federal government has identified 4 critical areas as priorities for the development of the Nigerian youth, designed to empower young people and enhance their skills in order for them to thrive.
I want to acknowledge the importance of youth development in our nation's growth and progress. Moreover, it is imperative that we address the unique needs of youths across different regions and ensure our policies are inclusive and effective.
Our decision at this meeting will be guided by the key points: governance, skills development, innovations, culture, and human capital development, all of which are important towards improving the life of the young people.
There were goodwill messages from representatives of the development partners that include UNFPA, UNODC, National Counter-Terrorism Center, Office of the NSA, Foreign Affairs Ministry, and Youth Development Practitioners Group, affirming support to the cause of youth in the country. The occasion featured decoration of Governor Zulum as the Fellow of the Nigerian Youth Workers and renaming the organization's office in Abuja after the governor. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
We're now being joined by the Minister of Youth Development, Ayodele Olawande. Honorable Minister, thank you so much for joining us on Network News.
Good evening, thank you very much.
Now, how do some of the planned discussions and ongoing talks at the 7th National Youth Council align with some of your goals to expand and improve services for the Nigerian youth generally, and especially to key thematic priorities for the development of the Nigerian youth? I hear that they have 4 thematic development strategies. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Thank you very much. Good evening. It was a very good outing for us, and for the past 5 years, these have not come to pass. You know, there is no plan. Most of the states, we see that the federal government, everybody said, what is the plan for the youth? What are the action plans and all that? But we have also forgotten that there is an arms of government and everything needs to work together. And this council, it is a council that we want everybody, we want all commissioners, permanent secretary, directors, and youth bodies to come together and let's synergize and talk about it, because the only priority we have is for us to empower the youth. And that is where the four cardinal point is driving hard: to empower the youth, to support the youth, and to protect the young people. And if we're here, and I'm here as minister at my age, and we cannot drive into that or show the capacity that this is what we can do, then we are not getting it right. So we are, for the first time again in the past 5 years, we have come together and draw the map and said every state should come up with this, and we should work together and drive it. For the skill capital, for the lack of capital, the challenges we have, lack of capital, the skill mismatch, and the high unemployment. We must just find a solution to this. And this part of the solution that we want to fight today is in 2015, we want to set a space for ourselves so that the council will come up, both the Ministry of Youth, which is the Minister of Youth, which incorporates the Minister of Youth, the Ministry of Youth in the state, the commissioners, the permanent secretaries, and the directors, so that we can intensify more on technical vocational skills, put up digital skills and economics, entrepreneurs, and also we always talk about the green skill, media, entertainment, and all that. And in 2025, we will have a working ministry for the first time in this country, that the youth of this country will feel this government, because the president of the country has given us a platform. The youth of this country will feel this government, and the youth of this country, irrespective of the party you belong to in any state, will touch the government. And that is where we are driving at. And that is how the key point agenda is very important to us. And that is where we are.
Okay, Honorable Minister, thank you so much. We know that the youths of Nigeria, are innovative, they're intelligent, they really know what they go out for what they want. Now, are you hopeful of a successful hosting of this National Youth Confab as planned by the federal government? And how inclusive would participation be?
The council is being successful. Even we are in the north and we are in Borno. And I just moved out of Borno again this evening. And I can assure you, with the level of participations, the commissioner from the south, from the southeast, from the southwest, Lagos, Ekiti, everywhere, and we come together, I can assure you that in 6 months' time, you will see another reformed Nigerian youth. You will see another Ministry of Youth that you can be able to, that our hen are listeners, that we are listening to, that they can talk to us. And I'm talking as if I'm in Nigeria, I'm part of the Nigerian youth because I'm Minister of Youth, and we are pushing it. And this council too, and I've made it. If me, myself as minister said I'm a servant to the youth, so I want the commissioners to bring it down. Let's drop the commissioners, let's drop the ministers, and be a servant of the young people, so that the young people will be proud of this country again. They can be able to beat their chests and said, we are for this country and we're Nigerian. So this council comes out with a good and robust participant. And we came up with things that we know, and we are sure that when we go back, we put our governors on their toes. I stand to plead and beg because I'm still a young man. So I have an opportunity to go to these governors and go and beg and say, see, this is what we want to do, and this is how we want to do it.
You're still a young man, and you're part of the youths of Nigeria, and I'm sure youths watching this interview now will be able to, beat their chest and say, this government is thinking about us. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister Ayodele Olawande. He's the Minister for Youth Development. Thank you so much for coming on Network News. With about 6 years left to achieve the 2030 global target to end tuberculosis, critical stakeholders led by political leaders are being urged to step up action towards stopping the disease in its track. Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, made the appeal to international delegates and partners from 62 countries who attended the 38th board meeting of Stop TB Partnership Global held at the presidential villa. Uche Ogochukwu reports.
Since the National Tuberculosis Conference 2024 opened Tuesday, stakeholders led by the global and national Stop TB champion and Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, have focused on key issues, including funding to expand diagnostic services towards improving treatment access. The statistics are still not cheering, and much work needs to be done. So the 38th board meeting of Stop TB Partnership Global is interested in attracting sufficient political leadership needed to galvanize required investments to end TB across the world. While embracing her role to drive political leadership for the campaign, the First Lady insists that the campaign must prioritize awareness and integrated service delivery that guarantees that no Nigerian is left behind. As the global and national Stop TB champion, she hopes to mobilize required political will that can sustain the campaign against the disease in Nigeria.
Let us remember that we have the knowledge, the tools, and most importantly, the will to make TB a disease of the past. Therefore, our goals are attainable. Let us move forward with urgency and determination.
Communities are equally essential. We must empower individuals to seek care and ensure that our health workers are adequately trained and supported. Our communities must become active partners in the fight against TB.
The federal government is fully responsible for procuring all the BCG vaccines that are being deployed in Nigeria.
Led by its executive director, Lushika Ditu, the Stop TB partnership community from around the world was unanimous in their appreciation of the changing TB narrative in Nigeria, citing the leadership and inspiration provided by Nigeria's First Lady.
As partners in the Stop TB, we will always be here for Nigeria. I would like to announce we're expecting and very excited even new point-of-care tests next year.
Part of the agenda of the high-level meeting is to explore how the world can present a unified response to the health and socio-economic challenges that tuberculosis represents. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Special Advisor to the President on Health, Dr. Salma Ibrahim Anas, is convening a high-level meeting with key community actors from 3 of the most affected states. Nigeria is intensifying efforts to reduce maternal and newborn death by 30% before 2030. Now, to achieve this, Uche Ugochukwu brings us the details.
The bleak statistics of maternal and newborn deaths in Nigeria remain a pressing concern. Despite ongoing efforts to achieve a 30% reduction by 2030, progress has been slow, hindered by persistent barriers. This meeting discusses the root causes of these alarming figures and explore practical, homegrown solutions peculiar to each state.
We are talking to people that already have their own culture, their own ways of doing things. They have their beliefs. So there's no way you can be talking in vacuum and you expect results.
Now we're engaging the crux of where the issues are, and that is the community.
We remain resolute in reducing maternal and newborn deaths across our dear state and the nation in general.
We want pregnancy by choice, not by accident. And we can achieve it through promoting modern family planning methods.
Commissioners from Borno, Kaduna and Sokoto, alongside community and religious leaders, have pledged to collaborate on implementing locally tailored frameworks aimed at transforming the current situation. Plans are already underway to extend this engagement to all 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Let's now bring in Elizabeth Omori for an analysis on the trends as far as concerns maternal and infant mortality in Nigeria. Elizabeth, what are the figures saying?
Thank you so much, Juma. I'll just quickly run down the figures for you. And of course, maternal mortality is an important health indicator that cannot be ignored. Now, for Nigeria, 814 deaths occur per 100,000 live births, according to the World Health Organization. And for infant mortality rate, we have 69 deaths occurring per 1,000 live deaths, and that's by the World Bank survey. We also have, for under 5 mortality rates, 120 children actually die per 1,000 live births, and that's by UNICEF. Now, what are the causes of maternal mortality? We have poor access to healthcare services, inadequate health care infrastructure and equipment, lack of skilled healthcare workers, particularly our midwives, and of course, these causes have effects. What are the effects? Physical and emotional trauma on family and our mothers, economic burden, healthcare, and on the home as well. We have reduced productivity, poverty on women and children, as well as negative impact on society and Nigeria if we want to attain SDGs. Now, what is the call to action? We have to promote healthy nutrition in pregnant women and new mothers. We need to train primary healthcare workers, especially our midwives and obstetricians. We need to increase funding for healthcare, for the healthcare sector. There's a need to improve access to primary healthcare services, especially in rural areas. And finally, we need to strengthen healthcare systems and our emergency response mechanisms. It's a call to action to ending our maternal mortality.
Much, Elizabeth. And still talking health, the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Ali Pati, says the successful regulation of service quality and the free VVF repair program in rural areas across the country has benefited more than 1,000 women with fistulas. He, however, stresses that achieving universal health coverage requires sustainable financing and resource allocation. The Coordinating Minister made this known at a media briefing marking Universal Health Coverage Day in Abuja, acknowledging that Nigeria's $15 per capita public health investment is insufficient and places a heavy financial burden on households. He says guaranteed access to quality care requires increased government spending on infrastructure, diagnostic, healthcare, workers, and logistics.
It has to be properly funded. And as we move towards UHC, I urge the non-state actors, the civil society organizations, our development partners, and all others to advocate to state governments, to local governments, to our parliamentarians, because I know for a fact that our president last year announced that health is back on the front burner. It's one of his key priorities as part of the human capital pillar of his renewed hope agenda. So it doesn't need more convincing. He's already increased the allocations for health, and I'm sure he will continue to do that. But all of us have to really be in that mindset that we should invest.
Time now to bring in Jennifer Igwe in our Lagos studio for more on NTA Network News. We'll be back.
Thank you, Jumai. Now, the federal government has revealed that arrangements have been concluded on its proposed renewed Hope City, set to commence in Lagos for the southwest and in Kano for northwestern part of the country. Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Musa Dangiwa, made the revelation while on a tour of facilities and sites under the ministry in Lagos. Lanre Gweleyi has more.
The first port of call for the minister upon commencement of his 3-day tour was the Lagos State Governor's office, where the minister had a rapport with the governor on ways of improving collaboration with the state government.
The good thing about that renewed Hope City, though it's a PPP project, but we tend to have at least 20% of the housing unit to be under cross-subsidy to ensure that even the low and medium income earners have a number of and the contractors have moved aside.
Ahmed Dangiwa and his entourage also toured departmental offices and facilities in the metropolis, where he promised rehabilitation of government assets under the ministry.
We want to ensure that we change the face of most of these buildings and most of the federal government assets that we are having in Lagos. The ones that the federal government can put its money to upgrade them, we are going to go ahead and assess them and then put our money. The ones that we feel we need to collaborate with the private sector, will do it. Private sector will bring in their money, rehabilitate and upgrade them to a befitting status and then later rent them out the willing objectors, and then recoup their investment before returning back to the federal government.
He further stated that the federal government's vision on Renew Hope City is set to commence with 2,000 housing units to be initiated in Ibejuleki in Lagos to kick off the Southwest Zone. In Lagos, Lanre Bileyi, NTA News.
And to the energy sector, one of Nigeria's leading energy companies, Seplat, has successfully completed its acquisition of Mobil Producing Nigeria Unlimited, MPNU, from ExxonMobil. Chief Executive Officer, Seplat Energy, Roger Brown, disclosed this at a media briefing in Lagos while describing the development as one that will drive growth and profitability in the oil and gas industry. Diana Ajale reports.
Targeted at the numerous opportunities that exist in organically grown production, the combined asset include 11 blocks of onshore and shallow water Nigeria, with 48 producing oil and gas fields, 5 gas processing facilities, with 3 export terminals. Chief Executive Officer, Seplat Energy, Roger Brown, says achieving the milestone will afford the company contribute significantly to Nigeria's future prosperity.
Seplat is now the shareholder of what was Mobil Producing Nigeria, and it's due to be changed to Seplat Energy Nigeria Unlimited company. So now SEPNU is part of the Seplat group.
For other stakeholders, the transaction will no doubt serve as a laudable transformation for Seplat Energy, as the company will now double production while repositioning for enhanced service delivery.
More than 2 times the level of production we have today. It's, on a combined basis, it's around 124,000 barrels a day. The plan is to grow that, and that's on a working interest level. And it's going to be further strengthened with this acquisition.
The acquisition of the entire issued share capital of MPNU added to the Seplat group include 40% operated interest in OML, 51% operated interest in the Bonny Rivers Terminal, with recovering of 9.6% plant, among others.
We have very strong sustainability program, driven right from the top, from the board, and these are the strengths that we're going to bring across to our new business.
Seplat Energy says the good news is that approximately 1,000 staff and 500 contractors of ExxonMobil will transit to the Seplat group, while the various communities also stand a chance to benefit from the laudable achievements of Seplat Energy. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
Time to take a break. The news will continue with Juma.
Federal Road Safety Corps to ensure increased visibility on the roads and to strategize on modalities to check excesses of road users, especially commercial drivers, before, during and after the Yuletide. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, emphasized this at the Corps Marshal's 4th strategic session at the national headquarters in Abuja. Oyeyemi Ajayi has details.
This is the 4th strategic session of the Corps Marshal, Federal Road Safety Corps, Sheikh Mohammed, with the high commands of the Corps. This time around, the target is towards the successful outing during the Yuletide. The FRC Corps Marshal, while reeling out a series of achievements made so far, emphasized that operatives should be mentored to apply a strategic retreat in cases of extreme provocation, as this is the only way the Corps can change the public perception of operations.
I wish to reiterate that traffic offense is not a criminal offense. Therefore, interface with traffic offenders should be approached with requisite emotional intelligence.
Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, represented by the Permanent Secretary, General Services Office, Maurice Mberi, however, charged the Corps to ensure speedy responses in terms of emergencies.
Re-strategize on your modalities to check excesses of drivers on the roads, including the recklessness on the activities of along the road drivers.
Say no to overloading, because even when they overload, you still pay the same transport fare.
The Corps was also admonished to increase the deployment of innovation in its activities as part of a commitment to reduce road traffic crashes in the country by at least 5%. Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
It's time now for business news, and Benny Adams is standing by. Benny Adams, what's happening in the world of business?
So much happening in the world of business. Jermaine, to start with, a cheering news: no more delays in retirement benefit payments to retirees of federal government treasury-funded MDS, says the new management of Nigeria's Pension Commission. This is as the federal government recently released 44 billion naira to settle accrued pension rights for retirees from March to September 2023, and moving forward, promises to work with the federal government towards a sustained solution that will ensure retirees receive their benefits promptly. This is in addition to leveraging new investment windows to ensuring return on investment for contributors both in the formal and informal sectors of the economy.
Pension funds investment into inflation-protected instruments, alternative assets, and foreign currency denominated investments. Our goal is to safeguard contributor savings and ensure resilience against future economic volatility.
As of October 2024, the contributory pension scheme has recorded 10.53 million registered contributors with an asset base of 21.92 trillion naira and plans to close the year at 22 trillion naira. The engagement was at the instance of Pension Correspondents Association of Nigeria in Abuja. Now, a quick look at the market. At the end of today's trading session on the exchange, investors smiled home as transactions ended positive, building on gains of the previous day. Today's data shows a 53% improvement in volume, 9% improvement in turnover, and 5% improvement in deals. In all, 127 companies participated in trading, and at the end, 30 gained and 21 lost. Like I always say, it is all about gain, as he who loses today has the opportunity to gain tomorrow. That is it on business. Jumai, you can take it from here.
Thank you, Benny. Now, INEC is proposing a special voting day for officials on election duty. The review of the mode of transmission of election results and the replacement of PVC with computer-generated slip for identification during voting. These are among the recommendations in the report of the 2023 General Election and Off-Cycle polls unveiled by INEC. Let's take a listen to Mayor Ogidi.
Ill and hearty, with bright mien, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu walked in, having pleasantries with his lieutenants. Though almost a week in Ghana, observing the just concluded presidential and parliamentary election, the exercise has taken a little out of him.
I hope I am audible enough, in spite of my hoarse voice, is because of the weather from the recent election in Ghana, not London. Thank you.
A lot happened in the 2023 general election. Those that observed the process presented their findings. Diaspora voting, special court for electoral offences, cleaning up of the voters' register, top among the 142 recommendations from the two documents.
The Commission also believes that the introduction of BVAS, it is now, and the use of the permanent voters card are the sole means of identification of voters for accreditation on election day should be reviewed. Those who already have the PVCs can still use them to vote during elections. The review report also contains recommendations on early or special voting for the millions of Nigerians who do not vote at the moment on account of the roles they play during elections.
First beneficiary of these recommendations will be Anambra State, as the governorship election is slated for November 2025. Mie Ogidi, NTA News.
Now, from deadlines to downtime, the news agency of Nigeria, NAN staff swapped their pens and pads for picnic tables and barbecues at a lively family picnic in Abuja. Ngufan Shaji Ngwayin reports that this picnic was the first of its kind since the inception of the organization.
The news agency of Nigeria, NAN staff,
know how to have fun. The team traded their newsroom chairs for a day of laughter, games and bonding at a family picnic. The event, which aimed to promote team bonding and relaxation, was a huge success. Staff members who excelled in their duties were recognized and rewarded with cash prizes and commendations. Managing Director, News Agency of Nigeria, NAN, Malam Ali Muhammad Ali, emphasized the importance of teamwork and encouraged staff to maintain the agency's high standards of news gathering and reportage.
We've come to be reliable, trusted, authentic. Anytime a piece of news breaks, they wait to see how we are going to report it. That's when they believe it. The goal is to be fast with news, to react to the news environment.
The evening featured fun activities, providing a welcome break from the demands of news reporting. The picnic demonstrated NAN's dedication to its staff's well-being and motivation.
Unity. We are trying to break barriers between the high, the low, the middle class.
As the staff and their families mingled and enjoyed each other's company, it was clear that this was an event that would be remembered for a long time. In Abuja, Gufan Shaji Ugwanyi, NTA News.
We'll take another break. We'll be right back. And Bade is standing by for sports update. Bade, I hear it's a rain of goals this evening. What's the scoreline?
You're very much correct, Jubai. 9-0 it ended. As the Nigeria under-17 girls football team, the Flamingos, began their campaign at the maiden edition of the Wafubi Under-17 Girls Cup in Ghana in the best way possible. They handed their Nigerian counterparts a 9-0 demolition. The Coach Bankole Oluwokere girls, right from the blast of the whistle, turned the opposition half to their own and showered them with a heavy downpour of goals, with the first half ending 7-0. They began the second half from where they stopped, and they never looked back. Their next game is against Cote d'Ivoire in what could be the group decider. Now, the final list of the 2024 CAF Awards has been released. Expectedly, Nigeria made the list in 5 categories in the Women's Awards, with Chiamaka Nadoze nominated in the Women's Player of the Year and Goalkeeper of the Year categories. Chiamaka Okuchukwu makes the final 3 for the Young Player of the Year, with the duo of Super Falcons and Edo Queens in the finalist for Women's National Team and Club of the Year awards. Super Eagles are in contention for the Club of the Year, while the race for the big one, the African Footballer of the Year, is looking tight, with the 5 shortlisted players inseparable. The award ceremony comes up on Monday, the 16th of December. And of course, to the Europa League, where Manchester United recovered from 1-0 down to record a 2-1 win, with Rasmus Højlund getting the double. And of course, that will be our bit when it comes to sports today. Let's now return to Jumae.
Thank you, Bade. Moving on, the family of late Madam Beatrice Obunize Ogoloma, who passed recently at the age of 77, has officially released details of her funeral rites. A service of songs was held this evening at the family residence of the deceased in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. The former women leader and supervisor for health and women affairs, People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Port Harcourt local government area will be interred on Saturday, December 14 at the same residence. Madam Beatrice is survived by relatives, children and grandchildren, including Annie Daniels of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA. And that's it on NTA Network News tonight. Thanks so much for watching. I am Jumai Yusuf.